I want to warn you right from the start. This story isn't easy to hear. It's about the kind of pain that sticks with you. The kind that hides in plain sight in families like mine. If you're sensitive to stuff like abuse or family secrets, maybe skip this one. But if you're here, buckle up because what I'm about to share changed my whole life. I was just a kid when I found out the woman I called Mom wasn't my mom at all. She was my sister, forced into hell by our own father. Yeah, it's that bad. Have you ever uncovered something in your family that shattered everything you thought you knew? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more real-life tales like this. All right, let's dive in. I was born in 1958 in a dusty little farmhouse out in rural Kansas, where the wind never stops blowing and the cornfields stretch forever. Life was simple back then, or at least it seemed that way to a little girl like me. Our house was old, with creaky wooden floors and walls that let in the cold during those brutal winters. There were 8 of us kids crammed in there. Me, my older siblings, Tom, Betty, and Frank. Then the younger ones like little Eddie and Susie, and the babies, Charlie and Rosie. We didn't have much. No TV, no fancy toys, just the radio crackling with country songs and the sound of chickens clucking in the yard. The woman I called Mom, her name was Anna. She was young, maybe too young for all of us. She had this long brown hair she tied back in a ponytail and eyes that always looked tired, like she'd been carrying the weight of the world since before I was born. She'd wake up at dawn every day, stoking the wood stove to make oatmeal for Dad. His name was Robert, and then she'd tend to us kids. Her hands were always rough and red from scrubbing clothes in the wash basin or hanging diapers on the line. I remember the smell of lye soap mixed with the earth from our garden. She'd hum old hymns while she worked, but sometimes I'd catch her staring out the kitchen window, tears rolling down her face. "What's wrong, Mom?" I'd ask, tugging at her apron. She'd just wipe her eyes, force a smile, and say, "Nothing, sweetie. Just tired from all this running around." Dad was a big man, tall with calloused hands from working the fields. He farmed corn and wheat, but money was always tight. He'd come home smelling like sweat and whiskey, his temper flaring like a match in dry grass. We all walked on eggshells around him. Anna, Mom, would shrink when he raised his voice, her shoulders hunching like she was trying to disappear. "I thought it was normal, you know?" Dad's yelled. Mom's cried. But there were things that didn't add up, even to my child's mind. The older kids, Tom, Betty, and Frank, never called her Mom. They'd say Anna, like she was one of us. "Why do they do that?" I asked her once. She just shushed me and changed the subject. There was this old photo tucked away in a drawer, faded and yellowed. I'd see Anna pull it out sometimes, tracing her finger over the face of a woman who looked just like her. "Who's that, Mom?" I'd whisper. "Your grandma," she'd say softly, her voice cracking. "She passed when you were too little to remember." But the woman in the photo had the same sad eyes as Anna. It made my stomach twist, like something was off, but I was too young to piece it together. Nights were the worst. I'd hear arguments through the thin walls, Dad's booming voice, Anna's muffled sobs. Sometimes there'd be thuds, like furniture moving, and the next morning she'd have bruises she blamed on bumping into the door. Us kids would huddle in our beds, pretending to sleep. I remember clutching my little rag doll, praying for the noise to stop. One time, I peeked out and saw Dad grabbing Anna by the arm, his face red with rage. She didn't fight back. She just looked away, defeated. It scared me so much I wet the bed that night, ashamed and confused. As I got older, around 8 or 9, the whispers started. Neighbors would give us pitying looks at the general store, murmuring things like, "Poor Anna, stuck in that mess." I'd overhear bits of conversation from aunts and uncles during rare family visits. "Robert's no good," my Aunt Louise would say under her breath to my Uncle Jim. But no one ever explained. And Anna? She tried to shield us. She'd bake apple pies from the scraggly trees in the yard, the sweet cinnamon smell filling the house like a hug. Those were the good moments, us kids laughing around the table, forgetting the tension. But even then, there was this undercurrent, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Things got darker when I turned 10. Anna got pregnant again, her belly swelling under her faded dresses. She looked more exhausted than ever, spending hours in the bathroom, retching or crying. I found her once, brewing some herbal tea from weeds in the field. "What's that for?" I asked. She jumped, spilling it. "Nothing, honey, just for my stomach." But her eyes were wild, desperate. Later, Aunt Louise showed up unannounced, sniffing the air. "Anna, you can't do that. It'll kill you," she hissed, dumping the tea. I didn't understand then, but looking back, it breaks my heart. She was trying to end it, to stop bringing more kids into our nightmare. Dad's drinking worsened. He'd stumble in late, reeking of cheap booze from the bar in town. One night, he cornered Anna in the kitchen. I hid behind the door, heart pounding. "You're mine," he growled, his hand on her throat. She whimpered, "Please, Robert, the kids." He laughed, a mean, hollow sound. "They ain't all yours to worry about." What did that mean? I ran back to bed, burying my face in the pillow, tears soaking through. The fear was constant now, like a shadow I couldn't shake. The breaking point came on a stormy Sunday afternoon. Rain pounded the tin roof like gunfire. I was playing with the babies when Aunt Louise burst through the door, her face twisted in fury. She wasn't the type to mince words. She worked at the local diner and had seen her share of rough folks. "Robert, you bastard!" she screamed, pointing at Dad lounging in his chair. He stood up slow, eyes narrowing. "What the hell are you doing here?" Aunt Louise didn't back down. "Anna isn't your wife. She's your daughter. Your own flesh and blood. How could you do this? After Mom died, you dragged that poor girl into your bed at 14? You're a monster." The words hung in the air like poison. I froze behind the couch, my world tilting. Anna? My sister? Our real mom was Grandma Ellen, the woman in the photo, who died giving birth to the 6th kid. Anna, the oldest, had been forced to raise us all, and worse, to bear Dad's children. Charlie and Rosie weren't my siblings. They were her kids, my nieces and nephews. The older ones knew, but us little ones? We'd been lied to, protected from the horror. Dad lunged at Aunt Louise, his fist connecting with her jaw. She staggered, but screamed louder. "Hit me all you want! It won't change the truth!" Anna begged him to stop, tears streaming. My brothers tried to pull him off, but he shoved them like rag dolls. I cowered, urine trickling down my leg from terror. Blood smeared the floor as Aunt Louise fought back, scratching and kicking. Finally, Dad threw her out into the mud. She got up, spitting rain and blood, and locked eyes with me through the window. "I'll be back," she mouthed. "I promise." That night, I couldn't sleep. The rain mirrored my tears. How could this be real? Anna, my mom, my sister, had been trapped, violated, right under our roof. The whole town knew, whispers said. The preacher, the neighbors, they turned a blind eye, calling it family business. It made me sick. I prayed for the first time in ages, not fancy words, just begging God to save us. "Why us?" I whispered. But a warmth filled me, like maybe he was listening. The days after were hell. Dad's rage exploded at everything, a spilled cup, a noisy kid. Anna took the brunt, her bruises blooming like purple flowers. I overheard her muttering one night, "I wish he'd drop dead." We all did, silently. Months dragged on. Aunt Louise didn't return, maybe scared off. Anna's pregnancy advanced, another chain binding her. Then, one crisp morning, the sheriff knocked. "There's been an accident," he said gravely. Dad had gotten into a bar fight the night before. Knives drawn, blood spilled. He didn't make it. Relief washed over us like a flood. No tears, just stunned silence. Anna sank to her knees, hand on her belly, whispering, "It's over." We buried him in a cheap pine box, the town pitching in out of guilt. Standing at the grave, I felt free but terrified. What now? No more farm income? No school? Dad said it was useless, isolated from the world. That first night without him, the house felt lighter. We slept in, no yelling to wake us. Anna looked years younger, her smile real for once, but reality hit. We needed money. The older kids talked jobs, Tom in construction, Betty waitressing. Anna suggested making jams from our berries. "We can sell 'em at the market," she said. I nodded, excited to help pick fruit. It was my first taste of freedom, walking alone without fear. Help poured in unexpectedly. Neighbors who'd ignored us brought groceries, clothes, even cash. "Should have done more sooner," they'd mumble, eyes down. Anna accepted gracefully. "It's okay now," she'd say. We started healing. The baby came, a boy. We named him Alex, after an angel in the Bible. His cries brought life to the house. 3 months later, Aunt Louise returned, older but fierce. "Come live with me in Topeka," she said. "I've got space in Grandma's old house." We debated, sell the farm, leave our only home? But the promise of a fresh start won. Tom stayed to handle the sale. The rest piled into her truck. The city was overwhelming, cars honking, buildings towering. Aunt Louise's place was cozy, with flowered wallpaper and a real bathroom. There, secrets unraveled more. Sitting with Aunt Louise over coffee, she revealed our family's dark roots. Our real mom, Ellen, had been traded at 13 by her drunk father. For a shotgun, no less. Grandpa gave her to Robert, then 17, like she was property. Women were nothing back then. Aunt Louise sighed, tears falling. Just for breeding? Robert had been the family outcast, violent from youth. After marriages and moves, isolation let his evil fester. It hit me. The cycle went back generations. Silence enabled it. I felt anger, then pity for Ellen, then resolve. No more hiding. Anna blossomed in the city. She enrolled us in school, started a small jam business. School was tough. I struggled with reading, letters blurring. But my teacher, Miss Harper, stayed late, patient as a saint. "You've got this," she'd say. I cried the day I read my first book aloud. Years flew. Tom sold the farm cheap. Rumors of curses scared buyers. But joined us with his new wife, pregnant and glowing. We bought a modest house on the outskirts, trees shading it. Anna met a kind widower at church. They married quietly, her first real love. I finished high school, became a teacher myself at 25. Wanted to help kids like me. In school, I met David, a gentle history teacher from next door. Shy smiles turned to coffee dates, then love. We married at 30, had 2 kids. Teaching for 30 years, I saw my nieces and nephews graduate, become parents. Anna lived to 80, peaceful at last. Looking back, the pain shaped me, but so did the hope. I broke the cycle, taught my kids to speak up, to fight silence. If you're carrying a secret, know you're not alone. Share in the comments. What's your story of survival? Hit like if this touched you, and subscribe for more. Take care out there.